Welcome back to another episode of Pumped Up Tea. I am Taylor, or should I say I am editing Taylor right now. I had just finished up editing our finale recap for last week. Today is Tuesday, so happy VPR day. We will be recording our recap episode tonight for the part 1 of the Vanderpump reunion. But I wanted to just make sure I got this quick intro out of the way because we had a really great finale recap with Ji Hae from the Real Bitch of Bravo podcast. It was such a great conversation. We went on so many tangents. So instead of doing a tea of the week segment in the beginning like we usually do, we're basically just going to be spilling the tea throughout the entire recap. It was so much fun. We had a lot of laughs. Ji Hae is awesome. So if you haven't checked out the Real Bitch of Bravo podcast, she's streaming anywhere you get your podcasts. Definitely check her out when you get a chance. And I hope that you enjoyed our recap for today. But before we get to that, make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Pumped Up Tea. Make sure you check out our episodes weekly anywhere you get your podcasts. Mostly Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Amazon, you name it, we are on it. We also have our videos out on YouTube as well. So if you're watching us right now, you see me as a whole mess. I am literally going to be attaching this intro to the recap, and then I am taking a shower and getting myself ready for tonight's Vanderpump reunion part 1. It's going to be a wild reunion to top off a wild and weird season. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy our recap.
All right, so we are here with Ji Hae from the Real Bitch of Bravo podcast. She's going to be recapping Vanderpump Rules with us because obviously for the season finale, we had to have another guest to not only do a sanity check, but also just so we can really get our grievances out with what on earth we just watched as a nice little preparation for the reunion that's to come next week. How are you?
Thank you for asking. I'm great. At this current moment in time, I don't know when you guys are posting this, but I currently am in Vegas right now, so I will be back in LA, but probably by the time that you guys post this, but I'm doing good. Vegas is actually really windy and gnarly. I come here a lot because I'm massively into sports, as you can see by this New York Rangers.
Yes!
Yeah. 2-0, guys. 2-0. 2-0. 2-0.
Freaking slaying Trocheck last night, a king.
Dude. Oh my gosh. Epic. Dude,
Epic.
Are you kidding me with freaking Igor right now? He's killing it. For those that don't know who that is, that's our goalie. So
yeah, Igor's just so good. I live and breathe for that man. Oh, I mean, I'm a Sydney girl myself, but Igor.
Oh, dude, do you love that his name all throughout Madison Square Garden, that's all people are chanting right now is Igor. Oh, yeah. It's great.
Oh yeah, all night long. It was just these refs suck and Igor.
No, huge Rangers fan. Yeah, huge Rangers fan.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's hard because I'm from LA and I live in LA and I wasn't really interested in hockey until I moved to New York. So, yeah, I love the Rangers. I unfortunately remember when we got gentlemanly swept by the Kings, and I was in a Kings bar watching it because I was working, and so everybody's rooting for the Kings except for me and 2 of my friends that came to visit me, and it was brutal. It was really, really hard. But I'm hoping, knock on wood, we win the cup this year. So,
hey, we are playing. I've never seen us play better in all the years that I've been. Ooh, we are poised.
It's we're the favorite. We're the top 3 favorite to win the cup right now. So as far as Vegas betting odds are concerned. So
yeah.
It's I'm just really hoping that we just don't choke in the East right now. So I'm just knocking on wood. It is, by the way, really hard to play in Carolina. So that's going to be an uphill battle. It's going to be an uphill battle from now. But MSG, there's no other place like it to play hockey. I mean, outside of Canada.
Oh yeah, it's the best. Home field advantage, baby. Oh yeah. The boys maybe pretend that they don't know how to play hockey when we go away. They really sometimes forget that they're hockey players. We are on away ice and they're what the fuck am I doing? Oh god. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I dated a hockey player, so I love hockey, but never again.
No. You got to keep the two separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't date puckheads. They're really sweet and they're fun to look at, but that's pretty much it. I can't date another one. I'm good. I got my fill, but probably shouldn't be talking crap since I'm in Vegas right now. They love their nights out here. They really love them out here. Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, it's a really aggressive fan base. Terrible.
All right. Well, speaking of aggressive fan bases, let's get into Vanderpump Rules.
Yes.
We'll go straight into it. So it's the first official morning in San Francisco. We get like a little pregame with Lala and Katie talking about meeting Dan and Dan potentially meeting Sandoval. Lala calls him a square. Katie's basically saying, I think he's like one of the sweetest guys in the world. What are your thoughts really on just kind of Lala's perspective when it comes to the possibility of meeting Dan or Dan meeting Sandoval?
As far as like Lala's perspective goes and like how she approached it, I think she just needed to get to know him a little bit more before she busts out all of these, I don't want to say accusations, but these assumptions of Dan, right? Like you literally just met him. Like you probably have known him for like a hot second. So maybe give him a little bit more time before you do all of that. And I get it that she's guarded because she's been hurt before by people that are in the group. She tried to like embrace Rachel. Let's look how great that happened for her. She tried to embrace, other people that were in this group as well. And it just didn't bode well for her. And I know listening to her podcast, she definitely is like, she's keeping her circle smaller and smaller as the days go by. So I think like, I get that she's guarded, but maybe give him a little bit more time because this seems like a normal dude that he doesn't even want to be on camera. Because if he really wanted to be on camera, he would have met him the day before. And he would have like wanted that airtime and be on air and all that stuff. So
he would have been on episodes ago.
Yeah.
Not just FaceTime.
He would have already moved to LA. Like he'd already be on camera. He'd be signing a contract with Universal right now, like prior to the season even starting. So I think we should all cut him a little slack and maybe just get to know him a little bit more. So Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, as far as like Lala's concerned, I get where she's like guarding her heart because there are going to be some vultures out there that want to be on television. I get it. But, maybe take this guy with a grain of salt because he seems to make her happy. And he's a very logical, level-headed dude. It doesn't seem like he's in it for those reasons. Also, Kyle Cook brought up a really great point when it comes to reality television. He said that it's really, really hard for him to get his friends in the city and on the East Coast in general to be on television. Let's keep in mind, Dan doesn't live in LA, guys. No. He doesn't live in Hollywood. He's not trying to be an actor. Like that's not his MO. He's a personal trainer and a bartender. So he's not trying to be in the limelight, obviously. Like he's trying to stay physically fit and train people, Mm-hmm. So, and he lives on the East Coast. So like it's a totally different mentality out there versus like when you're in LA. People literally move there because that's what they want to do, right? So yeah, I think that everybody needs to cut this kid a little slack. As far as Sandoval is concerned, they're going to need to know each other eventually. But like Ariana said, they don't need to know each other. Like they don't need to know each other. They don't, she wants to protect her heart, and I get it. I think if he's going to be on the show, though, that introduction is necessary. It's going to happen. You're going to be in the same vicinity with each other. You just got to figure out a happy medium of how to be around one another.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think one of the bigger green flags about him too is the fact that and we kind of said it last week, that he's not really like fighting to be on the show. He's not really fighting to be in the limelight. I think that makes it that much easier, I feel like, to warm up to Dan, knowing like, okay, so it already seems like his intentions are all in the right place. But then we have Scheana and Brock in their room, and they're basically discussing, where Brock basically says that Tom has been a better friend to Scheana than Ariana has because Tom reaches out more. Ariana just, when it comes to, and what his words were actions-wise, Tom has been the better friend to Ariana because Ariana just doesn't show up to things.
I really need Brick to stop talking. Brick, broke, whatever we call him on the internet. I really feel like his opinion on this entire thing just needs to be like, just shut your mouth, right? Just like shut your mouth.
So I actually talked to Taylor about this earlier,
Yeah.
I'm not anti-Brock, but I'm not pro-Brock. I'm in the middle. I think he's trying to find his way into this world of like not being a house husband, so to speak, right? And like kind of earn a paycheck as well. That being said, it was said in the lunch, and I know we're going to get to this, but it was said in the lunch, hey, I'm just looking out for my wife. I'm looking out for my family. I'm looking out for, my significant other, and I'm trying to protect her. And so in that regard, I can understand where he's coming from. I think that, like, if you look at it that way, then yeah, like he should say all of those things. And he also doesn't know what Ariana and them do. Ariana and Sandoval and Scheana all do behind closed doors, right? Like prior to him being with her, like
Yep.
their relationship was like gnarly. It was like also, she wasn't on until season 2. And the reason why she wasn't on in season 2, let's keep this in mind too, is that she didn't want to be a reality show person.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, she went on for Scheana.
Yeah, she was Scheana's backup dancer. She didn't even want to do that, right? She like literally turned her head when the camera was there for season 1. It was like, don't film me. And then her agent came up to her and was like, you're getting an opportunity to just do it. And it was gangbusters after that. But I don't know. I feel that Brock is trying to do something for Scheana, but at the same time still trying to like carve his own voice in there for. They don't have like a orange or anything like that, but he wants to be a main cast member. I think that's really what it boils down to. Mm-hmm. And like at the end of the day, they're all choosing the show kind of over this friendship. Not all of them. Yeah. Obviously, we have Katie. She gives negative fucks, and she will absolutely ride or die for her. I think until maybe the reunion. I think that's when we see allegedly that she comes out and isn't her authentic self, according to Lala. But we'll see about that. I don't know. Again, we don't know what happens behind closed doors with these people. So that being said, I'm not anti-Brock being on the screen, but I'm also not pro him being on the screen. I could live with him. I could live without him.
It's the indifference.
I think that's how I feel majority of the time. He has his moments of the good where you're like, where I've said it a bunch of times this season. I'm like, oh, that was such a great Brock moment. And then I have moments where I'm like, this guy sucks.
It's really mostly just been during this season. I mean, like overall, since we met him in season 9, right? He's been a good husband to Scheana. He's a great father to Summer. So I think that this is really just his way of just trying to make his paycheck, and then I actually went into the theory with her about how there's the possible incentive of potentially either getting a bigger paycheck or possibly getting a spot on the Valley for season 2.
One conspiracy.
The theory about them going on the Valley and getting on the Valley, I know Scheana has disputed this 8 million times and said, no, I'm happy to be on VPR. I want to be on this show till I die. Like, until they kick me off the show, this is what I'm going to do. Da-da-da. Money talks. If they get a bigger paycheck and go on the Valley, they will bounce. And
they already want houses out there.
Yeah, I know, dude. They're right. Like, and her and Lala already have a story arc. They already all know the cast. It makes sense for her to make this transition over to go to the Valley, because I think just like Ariana has outgrown the show, Scheana has outgrown this show too, and she just needs to move forward and move on. You still have people that don't have kids and don't have a family and aren't married, and that's all the Valley is, with the exception of Zach. Like everybody has somebody. They're in a relationship, or they have kids. They all own homes. They all, like Zach's the only one. I mean, poor kid. But like everybody else, it makes sense. It makes sense for them to make that transition. And to be honest with you, I would like to see her be an adult. And like, I don't need to see them going to Coachella or them going to Stagecoach. God bless them. Go do you. That's fine. But I need to see, them going to a hibachi dinner and having like a normal conversation with one another, them doing like certain things with one another, like going to dinners or doing overnights in Malibu, because the show has evolved. But Vanderpump Rules needs to be Vanderpump Rules, and the Valley is the extension of the Vanderpump Rules cast, and I think it's great. I think it's something that I would like to see, right? I would like to see, at least personally as a fan, like I would like to see like their involvement as a couple, as people, as adults, right? We're going from their 20s to being in their 30s and almost 40. So I'd rather see her on the Valley, to be honest with you, than Vanderpump Rules.
Okay, not to pivot to the Valley real quick, but I'm a Reddit lurker. There's a theory going around the Blocks by Jax subreddit that Janet is apparently a moderator on the Valley subreddit, and she is like in the comments of the Block by Jax subreddit and the Valley subreddit, and she's like,
I believe that she's definitely perusing Reddit like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, no, like people were like, I got like the craziest like attack because I said something about this, and like they were going into it this morning of that like Janet could possibly be like lurking, because we know Jack and Brittany lurk on the subreddit, so they were like, Janet most likely does, and they were like, she has to be a moderator, like it doesn't make sense. And I was like, that is so unhinged, but also not unlikely when you think about the fact that the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City had Monica on there, and she had a whole burner blog or burner Instagram, like shitting everybody in Salt Lake Housewives.
Well, Janet's already self-admitted to being like a huge gossiper. She just said it in last week's episode that's how much she loves it.
It is not out of the realm of possibility, and I kind of want it to be true because it's really spicy.
Also, Zach has already sat there and claimed him, and like, she's the shister too, so she can't really sit there and blame Jax or Kristen, because you're adding to the trauma as well by inserting yourself, by trying to find out the gossip and then saying it to other people. So she is like, this theory wouldn't shock me if she's in the subreddit comment section. Like, it would not shock me whatsoever. Jason even said it's her brand new job.
So we'll pivot back. We'll get back on track. The whole group, I called it, went on a whole tour de San Fran. And they went on the trolley. They went exploring Chinatown, where then they went to lunch. And
it looked so good.
It did look phenomenal.
So good.
Have you guys ever heard of this place, by the way? NanKing?
No.
Okay, so go on Netflix. There is a like documentary, whatever, like a reality show based on this.
No shit.
Yes. So she's been on like not Top Chef, but like she's been on a bunch of different competition shows. She's been on Beat Bobby Flay. She's been on like all that. So the woman that was actually serving them is actually technically the owner now, but her father was the original owner of NanKing.
Oh.
And so she like, this is how much reality television I watch, people. But like she's
no judgment. I too am a TV girly.
So she like, it basically, this has gotten passed down to her, and she had to like, the whole entire show is convincing her dad like to let go of the reins and let her do it, and just like let her do it by herself, and him not to be really involved, like to like enjoy retirement and old age and stuff like that. So the show's interesting. And it shows you that she's trying to, like, that fried rice. I don't know if you saw James's Instagram. There's a viral fried rice that they serve, where it's an egg fried rice, and they put the fried rice down on the wok, and then or on the skillet, and then they put the egg on top, and then that's how they mix it together. And so, like, it's a very Instagrammable place to go to in San Francisco. So it's kind of like when they went to Barton G, like they're kind of going like Instagrammable places. I don't know if I just made sense on that, but like places where you can obviously like keep your IG, and it's great. They're trying to be Instagrammable, and they're trying to be more relevant. But it's it's technically a very famous place in Chinatown.
I love that. Also, quick James Kennedy pivot. What are your thoughts on him just living out his DJ dreams with Coachella and now EDC Vegas?
Dude, he manifested it. He
really
absolutely manifested it. Like he's the one that's like, I'm trying to do big things, man. I'm trying to go to Coachella. I'm like, good for you for manifesting.
I've been saying that for like 2 weeks. Every time we talk about James Kennedy, I'm trying to do big things one day. Play Coachella.
I wish I could do it in the accent that you're doing it in right now, Sarah, because my British accent sucks. So
have you had a chance to watch the extended version?
Yes, I did.
I actually just filled her in on it earlier because she was working. But we go into our first extended scene with Dan and Ariana just being asked. Actually, I'll backtrack for a second. We'll go straight into Lala's interrogation of Dan. Because these VPR editors are amazing at what they do and have been for the last like 12 years. And they just keep doing better and better because they really make it look like she had just been going on and on and on and on with her questions and whatnot. Which valid when you're first getting to know somebody. I think that everybody's kind of on that side of like, yeah, listen, you don't know him. It's your first time meeting him. Fine. But Dan and Ariana are asked by Allie what first attracted them to each other. And Dan mentioned, the big thing with him was when they were having the race conversation. Being in New York, he's dealt with a lot of racism. And Ariana basically said it was his smile, personality. He's a good listener. And this was just such a really sweet scene. And it just, honestly, it makes me fall in love with them that much more. What were your thoughts on that conversation?
Well, he's an adult.
Of course.
I don't know how else to say.
And he's not a narcissist.
He's not a narcissist. So I'm actually half Asian. I'm half Korean. That's where the name Ji Hae comes from. And so growing up, and I basically grew up Asian. I grew up Korean. My mother's from Seoul, Korea, so I grew up very Korean. So you talk about Korean barbecue, I've been eating it since since I was in my mother's stomach, right? Like kimchi. I used to have a kimchi fridge. I'm very, very Asian. So growing up Asian, I didn't get the hate, but currently, unfortunately, they're dealing with that on the East Coast. And even here, they're getting a lot of Asian hate for random reason. They're hitting little, we call them ajumas, little old ladies, for no reason. It doesn't make any sense why they're doing it unless they're mentally unstable. It doesn't make sense. Or the Asian hate, especially since the Asians are the quietest race to assimilate to American culture. So I can see where he's coming from with the Asian hate, because I've also gotten inadvertent hate with the food, right? So I used to bring bento boxes to school in junior high, and I would have kimchi in there with rice and with seaweed and with the bulgogi or the kalbi in there, and I would just eat that. That would be my lunch, and then some takwang, which is another fermented turnip, and I'd eat that for lunch. And kids are cruel, man. They'd be like, ew, that smells. Now every single one of those kids that said, ew, that smells, is going up to me and be like, hey, where can I get some Korean barbecue? I'm like, y'all didn't want it then, you ain't getting it now. I'm gonna gatekeep that stuff to the people that actually were open their whole entire lives to that. Might sound a little bitter, but it is what it is.
As you should.
Yeah. So it's just, I can understand where Dan's coming from, and it definitely it shows his upbringing, and it shows a testament to who he is as a person, that he can sit there and compartmentalize and be like, you know what, I'm going to take all these things at face value, grains of salt, and move forward with my life. Yeah, he's an adult. I mean, that he's an adult. He's not a narcissist. He's somebody that he will educate himself along with others, and he's going to be very open. Like he says, I don't know him, talking about Sandoval, but I know what he's done. And so he's definitely I've loved Dan from the get-go. I've never ever not loved that kid. So, and I say kid because I'm a little older than him, not a lot, but a little older than him. So, I get it. I get where he's coming from, and I get I think I can just relate to him a little bit more, and that's probably why I can just automatically gravitate towards him and love him. And yeah, he's an adult, and that's what a 40-year-old man should sound like at the end of the day. He's an adult.
Yeah, he also looks like he can destroy Sandoval in a fight.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and also a lot of people don't realize, so the average height for a male is 5'8", I believe, is the average height for a dude. I grew up in where height is king. I'm short for where I grew up. So I'm 5'9", so I'm small where I grew up. The average height where I grew up is probably 5'10", 5'11" for a girl. So
yeah, we're tiny then.
Yeah,
we're chilling at 5'2" and 5'1", 5'2".
I'm barely 5'1". 5'1" is gracious. I'm 5 3/4. I gave myself the extra quarter inch on my license to make myself feel better.
You sound like me when I was in my 20s. I was like, I'm gonna say I'm not I think.
Well, just 5 3/4 on a license looks dumb. Okay.
You gotta go for the full inch or nothing at all.
Exactly.
Or nothing, yeah. Oh, totally. You guys should actually come to LA in August for a volleyball tournament, and then you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about.
We can go to something about her.
Yes, yeah, it'll actually be open. I'm not going to go to the opening, which is May 22nd, but I definitely, my co-host and I, we still, shout out to Liz Layton, we still definitely want to go because she's almost at month 8 of her pregnancy. So she's like, I'm not going to be able to go much longer. So we have to go soon. So I think we're going to go in June after.
Nice.
Yeah, because I just want to give it some time because like the opening, it's going to be madness for them.
Oh,
so,
the
like,
fans are going to swarm in on that.
And it's already a tiny place as it is.
It's so small. It's so small. I mean, it's in the middle of everything. So the foot traffic is going to be great for them. Just as a business, but at the end of the day, it's tiny. It's not meant to be a place to go in, sit down, enjoy your food. It's a takeout place, right? It still looks adorable, but it's still meant to be a takeout place. But yeah, and also, by the way, Hollywood is 45 minutes no traffic for me to get to. And it's far. So for me, I'm like, do I really want to go all the way for a sandwich place? It would have to be one of those like, okay, I'm going to go there, get a sandwich, maybe like go like somewhere else in Hollywood or something and get brunch or something like that. And then I'm going to go to like Studio City. I have to I have to make a day of it or an event of it. I can't like just go and then come back. Like it's too much. It would be like you guys going into the city, but driving into the city.
Yeah. Which is we're probably like a couple hours away from the city, so we'd have to make it like a full day, maybe a day and a half's worth of things just to make it worth it. We wanted to go to, I don't know if you've seen like these girls that do the Vanderpump watch parties in the city. I know you probably get a bunch of watch parties by you, but there's one in the city that we're dying to go to.
Yeah, I heard that there was one that's amazing that's through Evite. It looks really, really cool. I have been to Jax's for the premiere of The Valley. So that's the only one. And I've been to Pump and I've been to Sir like 8 million times. So like that's not
I'm so jealous right now.
Yeah, so like, but the premiere party that I've been to so far, I've been past Vanderpump past Villa Blanca before it closed down. It looked beautiful. I'm not going to front. I've also been to both her locations in Vegas as well, and I've eaten there. Go for the cocktails, do not go for the food. You're going to be highly disappointed. Like, be very like, have low expectations. And that's maybe because I think you guys are in New York, and I think I told you this, Taylor. I was like, man, I miss the food. I miss the food so bad. We talked about egg, bacon, and cheese sandwiches. Like we talked about like, bagels, and I miss the food.
Diners,
Oh, I love a good
diners. I told Taylor that there are no diners in LA, really. So I know.
I got like 3 within like a stone's throw.
I know. My boyfriend's from Connecticut, and he's just like, why are there no diners here? I don't get it.
It's like a staple. I love diner food.
Yeah, it's the best. It's hands down like my favorite. Like I'd get done drinking, like a full night of drinking, and it would be like 6, 8, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would go to a diner after drinking because you guys have after hours. We don't really have after hours over here. So you would go to an after hours bar, club, or whatever, and then you come back, and then it would be noon, and I would be like, oh, let's go to a diner. I'd have bacon, eggs with white toast, extra butter, and hash browns, and I would just maul that thing, and just a cup of coffee, water, and then go back home and go to bed. It's just, we don't have diners out here. It kind of sucks, but we have what's called cafes, right? So like, there's no countertop. So same kind of concept, but just no countertop, where you can sit down, have a pie, and like a cup of coffee to yourself and read the paper, which is what normally people do when they go to a diner.
I was going to say, like a rebranded diner.
Yeah. Trust me. I mean, there probably are some, just not in my neighborhood. I know that there's a bunch, like there's like maybe like 3 in LA proper, like Hollywood, AKA like downtown and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of them. There's mainly cafes. But yeah, going back, I just love the food, and it's just, I miss it so much. But yeah, you guys should definitely still come out here. To answer your question, which one do I like the best? That's tough, because Jax's isn't affiliated, and it's a totally different vibe, and I haven't had all the food there yet. I've literally just had Mama's beer cheese, and that's it. And I had like 3 or 4 glasses of wine. I didn't really eat. And it's also more of a dive bar, and it's attached to an Italian restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So like right next to that is an Italian restaurant, which is bomb. It's like very famous out here. But if I had to like pick an LVP spot, I will get back to you once her place at Flamingo opens, because I really want to find out how good that place is. It's going to be called Pinky's, and it's going to be at the Flamingo, and I'm like looking forward to that a little bit more than any other location, because it's going to be a lot brighter, pink. It'll be like, it's going to be a totally different vibe. I think I'll like that more. I did like Pump. I'm not going to front. When it was open, Pump was great. Pump was awesome. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did see it.
Yeah,
it was fun. I did see a celebrity that was hammered, but nobody bugged her. So she was like falling over drunk. I'll tell you guys off pod who it was. I don't want to blow up her spot, but like she was like falling over drunk, and it was just interesting to see that nobody was paying her attention, and everybody was like talking to Jax and Scheana the entire time. It was weird.
Well, I feel like so many people go to like the Vanderpump adjacent bars just for the sake of being able to either run into or interact with the Vanderpump people. So that totally tracks. Especially Scheana was there last night. What was it, last night or 2 nights ago? For her birthday?
She was at Jax's for her birthday.
Technically yesterday, because her birthday was actually on. Oh no! Sorry, on Monday she was there. She was there.
Okay.
She was there on Monday, and then yesterday, which would be Tuesday, they had a surprise birthday party, a sponsored Smirnoff Ice sponsored birthday party for her.
Oh, I saw that. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But Monday she was at Jax's.
Okay, so we'll get back to Vanderpump. So we're back at lunch, and again, Dan is still being interrogated. James did step in and ask about, Sandoval. Basically, what would happen if you met Sandoval? Dan again says, I don't know him, but I know what he did. I'm not hearing great things about him. And of course,
such a mature answer. It's just such a good answer, right? Because he's like, I don't really care if he interacts with me or not.
He didn't do anything to me,
but he said some shit to my girl, and game over.
Yes. So,
I love that.
And then, sure enough, Brock, of course, Scheana is the one who steps in. And I feel like Scheana has constantly, throughout the whole season, tries to find any reason to go up to Ariana and just be like, oh, I think I got to him. I pointed this out to him, and he totally seemed like he understood. Don't you like that, Ariana? Like a puppy dog. Basically expecting Ariana to throw her a bone because she talks to Sandoval. Meanwhile, she's like, make it stop.
She's a boundary stomping puppy dog, and I am over it. I'm done with her. After last night, and that whole, we'll get to the end obviously later, but like that whole end, done. Me and Scheana, donezo. Done. Nope, none for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait till the end to like make my comment, because I've been a Scheana stan forever. But I'll wait till the end to make my comment. That's like your guys' little cliffhanger. But go on with the recap.
So lunch is over. We go into the next extended scene, and I just told Sara earlier about this, but I was like, I feel like this scene could have just stayed on the chopping block, where Schwartz goes to Joe's hotel room. Joe asks Schwartz to iron her dress. Schwartz is being weird about the fact that Joe is wearing makeup. I would have traded this scene for a longer scene at the golf party, if I'm being completely honest.
I'm just so
Yeah, I mean, some things are just throwaways, man. Like, we don't need more Joe. Like, and I was a Joe sympathizer in the very beginning, because I'm not.
So were we.
Yes, up until like a week or two ago, we were like, maybe Joe is just. And then after like last week, or the week before, I was like, no more.
What do you? So I stopped being a Joe stan after that weird live. Did you guys watch her live, her IG live? That was when I was done. I was like, oh, honey, you lost me. You look crazy. Like, you look like you're a crackhead on this live. Like, you're contradicting yourself. You're looking insane. Like, you had everybody, and you had people rooting for you that aren't rooting for Katie. And now you're going backwards. And it's like,
it's like you had them like at your fingertips. And then, she ruined it with the live. She also ruined it when she lied to Lala like a few episodes ago about her involvement in the scandal of it all. And Joe had a very small, very, very tiny role to play when it came to the scandal when she went on that double date in Big Bear. But the fact that you can go to their house, to Sandoval and Ariana's house for events and stuff, to then also text the three of them after the affair was found out about, being like, I love you guys so much. And then you go on the show and you say, first of all, Ariana and I weren't all that close of friends. And also, I didn't know about the affair.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. It just doesn't look, it's not a good look. Like, going to her place on Thanksgiving of all holidays, like, I'm a fat kid naturally, so like I love Thanksgiving, and like that's a family thing. Like, if I invite you to Thanksgiving, you're family. So like, because you're gonna see me eat, and like not pretty girl eat, not like Instagram eat. You're gonna see me like ugly girl eat. So like, you go to that event, like we are tight. We're like we're close. So the fact that she did that and then says that we weren't close, it's the same thing as Rachel saying, well, we weren't best friends, really. It's like,
how are you going to backtrack on all that? You just said that they were your forever friends.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. You're losing the audience because the truth is going to come out on reality television. It's going to come out. And you backtracking and you saying like, oh, well, this isn't how it really happened. The Katie conversation that she had, the conversation that she has with Katie, that I understand. Because y'all really weren't friends. She didn't like you from jump. She thought you were weird from the get-go. So she never really was. And on top of it, I'm sure her and Kristen Doty, because that's how she got integrated into the group. That's how she saw you as Kristen's crazy friend. And she's like, and that's saying a lot considering it's Kristen. So she, that correlation is like, well, I get it. Like, I get why Katie doesn't want to have anything to do with her, whatever, and that they don't get along. But Ariana, she lets you in. And for those people to let you in and they have that really small circle, and they really do, like, the more and more famous they're going to get, the smaller and smaller their circle is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, to backtrack and say all that, you had me up until the very end, honey. You had me. And now it's gone. It's just gone.
Like, we were genuinely feeling bad for Jo when she was getting bullied at that pool party by Scheana. And we were starting to really kind of turn around and be like, maybe Jo is not all that bad.
With Schwartz, where she like put that boundary up.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yes, girl, yes. Like, and then she just like doubles down on wanting to be friends with the ex-wife. And I just can't. And then she goes right back into like wanting Schwartz, and I'm like, he didn't pick you. He's not going to pick you. You do not entitled to the friendship of the ex-wife.
That brings me to my next point about Jo too. She's still going on Instagram, making all these crazy posts with these long captions, defending Raquel, basically trying to preach, be kind, but you're posting all these shady stories about how Katie and Dana are the worst dressed at the iHeart Awards. And you want people to be kind to you? Like, I understand it, that there's a point where you want to retaliate, but you have to understand that if you do choose to go that route, you lose the effect of being the bigger person. You don't get to then preach, be kind. And then you're also calling Schwartz's new girlfriend weird. You were also calling that girl Tori weird because she was in the friend group, even though she wasn't exactly in the friend group, and she was dating Katie and Tom. And if you're going to go bashing anybody that Schwartz is dating, you're not kind. You're jealous. And that jealousy is showing.
And it's contradictory too, right? Where she's like, she basically calls out Katie as well and says that she's like being jealous and that she wouldn't care if anybody, like, it doesn't matter if Schwartz was dating a tree, she would still find a way to hate or something. And I was like,
yeah,
he's not hating on the girl that he's dating now.
No. She doesn't care who he's dating now. She doesn't want him. She divorced him for a reason. She's mad at you because you sent her a text message and then contradicted that text message by hooking up with him. Not 2 seconds. The ink wasn't even dry.
Yeah. And then you're living in his couch.
You're saying one thing to her and then doing another. And like, nobody wants to be friends with that. I wouldn't want to be friends with that. Like,
no, especially when you said that you were my friend, or especially if I will say this though, this is the only time I'm going to defend her is that I think Katie said something to the effect of, hold on, I actually wrote it down. She says, as a woman, you could have thought of me. Y'all ain't friends. And if you're not friends and you know that you just don't want anything to do with her and that she could think of you, like, no, y'all ain't friends. She doesn't need to think of you. Just like you don't think of her. You don't think of her, she shouldn't have to think about you. You know, she had to think about herself and what she was doing at the moment. Be it wrong, be it right, doesn't matter. She had to think about herself, and you have to think about yourself because you guys aren't friends. Now, if you were friends, this is a totally different conversation, but you're not. You have very much made it clear that you do not like her and that you think that she's a crackhead and that you think that she's weird. Like, you've made it very abundantly clear. So in that, this is the only time I will defend Jo on that like she should have like defended her and thought of her just because she's a woman. Like, you can hate other women. I'm not saying you should, but I'm just saying you could, especially if you're not friends. You know? So that's the only thing I'll defend on Jo. Other than that, you lost me after the live, Jo. I'm sorry, or Joseph, or whatever you want to be called. You lost me after the live. I'm good on Jo never coming back to VPR ever again.
Never want to see her again.
I completely have to watch her on the reunion. I cannot take any more of Delulu Jo. I can't.
Yeah.
Well, especially after she went spoiling everything that she was dealing with. Get on the reunion. Did you not sign an NDA?
Did you not learn from Ann Maddox? I mean, come on. She's not saying anything. Like, just learn from other people that are smarter than you.
I'm an Ann stan, man.
Oh, we love Ann.
All day. Actually, also, can we shout out the fact that she needs a sponsor and we need to get her a sponsorship so she can go to Watch What Happens Live next week?
Did you see her? Well, speaking of, too, did you see her Ring commercial? Or Amazon Alexa commercial?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was awesome. Alexa, red alert, she's coming down the stairs.
Batteries, paper towels, pens.
She is killing it, dude. I love her. Yeah.
I hope if we get a season 12, we get to see more of something about her, and then we get to see more of Anne have something about her.
Yeah.
So I have, unfortunately, some bad news for you guys.
No.
Yeah, she doesn't work at Fun about her anymore.
No way.
Oh,
that's upsetting.
That's
depressing.
Well,
does it have to do with Sandoval at all?
From what I hear, I don't think it's entirely because of that, but it might be a little bit of it. But I highly doubt it, because why would he go to something about her?
True. That's true.
Like, he's not getting invited to any premiere over there or any kind of event that they're going to hold. Like, when Ariana's done, she's done, and Katie is a diehard ride or die friend. So I don't think that they're going to sit there and be like, let's invite Sandoval to one of our opening events. Like, so I don't think that was it. I think I don't want to blow up their spot. I just have a theory on this. It's not a fact, and she hasn't told me it's a fact for sure. But I think it's just because they used her to film. Mm-hmm. This is just my theory. Yeah. I think that they just used her because she's a feel-good story. She's a great feel-good story. She's a great person. She's just a genuinely nice, wonderful, charming girl. So I think that unfortunately they might have used her for a storyline, and that's it. I don't think that it had anything to do with Ariana, and I don't think it was really the decision of Ariana and Katie. I think it was more like the network being like, yay, good story, she's here. But I don't know. Again, just a theory. It's not fact.
We'll go back. I'll kind of breeze past these couple of things just because they were such short scenes. There really isn't too much to note on them. But after Schwartz leaves Joe's room, he then goes to Sandoval's room. Of course, Schwartz is basically giving Sandoval the rundown of what happened at lunch. They didn't say much other than Sandoval just being like, oh yeah, Ariana, it's good tasting men. Because he's a douche. And then we quickly see, the first time we see Lisa in this whole episode, FaceTiming Scheana, wishing her luck about the show that was happening later, and of course giving Scheana that reassurance again that, like, you know, what do you want to do? Do you miss Tom? Do you love Tom? Okay, there's your answer. And it's like, okay, thanks, Lisa. We didn't really need that, but sure. So next, we go into Katie and Lala again. Lala is under the assumption that Ariana is putting pressure on Scheana to not be friends with Sandoval at all. Katie is basically just asserting that Ariana has simply set a boundary. I know people are very split on this because I can see both sides of it. Where I fall, though, is the fact that I do think that Ariana did simply just set a boundary. She doesn't want anything to do with this man. She does not want any access for him to have in her life. And she knows that Scheana is going to provide him that access. Meanwhile, Scheana is believing like, oh, I can only pick a friendship with one. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that extreme. So it's like, if you want to have that relationship with him, you can. Nobody's stopping you. But just understand that, I'm not really going to want to involve you all that much in what's going on in my life because I know you're just going to relay it back to him.
Well, she could do it like James. James has been very good at balancing being friendly with Sandoval and being friendly with Ariana. He's not relaying information. Like, you can have, there's a middle ground there.
Yeah.
Sorry. I also think that she, unfortunately, like James and Ariana's relationship is not the same as
it's not. No, it's not.
Agreed.
So I think just in that regard, like Scheana and Ariana used to be like they've been ride or die from the jump. Like Katie just came into in the last few years being her friend.
Yeah.
So like Ariana and Scheana have been there from the get-go, even prior to the show being on air. They worked with each other at Villa Blanca.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that, I forget who said it. I think it was Lala that was like, I think that she thinks that, it was Katie who said that I think Scheana thinks that she should be the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think partly she does think that, but the other half is like, Ariana's made it very, very cut and dry. And she's been, the one thing I'll give her is she's consistent as hell with this. She stood her ground and been like, no, when she broke the fourth wall, she stood her ground. She's like, I am not going to have this man in my life. You guys are not going to use me as the story arc for his redemption. I'm good. I don't need to be around him. I don't need to film around him. She's good too, by the way. She doesn't even need this show anymore. I think that she just did it because she's like probably contractually obligated. But like, other than that, she doesn't need the show anymore. I personally, like, it wouldn't shock me if Ariana bounces after this season. It would not shock me.
I really hope she does. She's so far past this, and I think it shows because her and Katie have a level of maturity that I think a majority of the cast do not, and you see it in the interactions this season. And it's like Ariana is so far past, like she can't get in the trenches anymore. Like she's out of the trenches. She took a shower. Like she's off doing her Broadway thing. Like she's done and over with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she's just, not only is she done, this was kind of the goal for her all along, to be honest with you. She's always wanted to act. She's always wanted to be on Broadway prior to getting on this show.
Yeah.
She was an actor. She wasn't somebody that was like, I want to be on reality TV, So I think she just needs to move on and move forward, and I hope she does.
Me too. I think the opportunities are going to continue to come, and she's going to reach a point where obviously she knows how she's being received on this show, and she probably expected otherwise because of the fact that she was going so against the grain of what the people around her wanted. But I think she's going to understand that at some point, Vanderpump is just going to be an obstacle that gets in the way of all the other opportunities that are coming to her, which is why they're pausing production for this whole summer. They're hoping that they're going to get her back. And I think right now, and obviously we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but there's a chance that I think that they're kind of hoping that they get Ariana back, because let's be real, if there's no Ariana, who's going to watch?
Well, and also here's the other thing too. What's the story going to be now? Because you're not like, there's a broken up couple that won't talk to one another. There's, no offense, but the fan base, I mean, I'm the outlier. I still can watch Scheana and Brock's relationship grow and fall, rise, whatever. But majority of everybody else doesn't want to see that. Maybe Lala and her baby journey, but that's not even going to be a thing, because by the time that the baby is born, the show might not even be filming still. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they still haven't posted a date of like, we're going to do this. We're going to pause it for a month. We're going to pause it for 2 months. We're going to start in September. Like, and if they do start in September, she's going to be in labor. She's going to have a kid. She's not going to have time to like do this show. So, we'll have to just, what story? Where are the stories? Like, one of two things is going to happen with VPR. And I really, really hope that the second one happens and not the first one. One, it's going to be gone. Like, we just saw the last of Vanderpump Rules with that montage and all of them growing up on television. Or two, which is what I really hope, is that they do like Real Housewives of New York, scrap the whole entire thing and get a brand new cast. That actually works at Vanderpump Rules, works at Pump, or works
Bring
at
it
Sir,
back to
sorry.
Sir. Yeah.
Yeah, bring it back to the original. Or go, I mean, they can't do it here in Vegas because I think that there's just too much like union stuff going on out here. But like, go to Wolf or go to another one of her locations and do it there. Like, do it at Tom Tom. I don't know, like, there's other. She has other restaurants. She has other venues.
Trying it. They experimented with Vanderpump Villa to see if they could get people to watch Vanderpump adjacent things. And I watched a little bit. It wasn't terrible. It really did feel like OG VPR for a little bit.
For a smidget, because of that couple that they actually are together, were together, and that was very genuine. But everything else felt.
Everything else was garbage. Oh yeah. Oh no. Everything else about it was just like terrible. Yeah.
I think that's what's working to the Vanderpump show's detriment too. I think that everything from this point forward has just been, and I mean, of course, like the prior seasons have had like their produced moments, but I think now it's just becoming that much more incredibly obvious when something is being produced.
Yes.
Everybody's talking on podcasts, everybody's just kind of lifting the veil a little bit. They're posting on social media. So it's like, we know how produced the show is. It's going to be very hard for any Vanderpump show to get away with it going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I think everybody is in love with the Valley, because with the exception of Kristen and Jax and Brittany, none of those guys are produced, because this is their first season being on reality television. Like some of those guys have been on TV before, but not in this capacity, right? You have Zach and Janet and maybe Jasmine who have been on television, but let's get real. It wasn't their story. It wasn't focused on them. It was focused on people around them. So they weren't really involved in the show. Now they're involved. So it's totally different and it's natural. And that's why the Valley is so great. And that's why it's been amazing. It is the number one show on Bravo. I'm not going to lie. It is the number one show on Bravo.
Jasmine actually was a Bachelor Nation girly. I don't know. I wasn't watching around that time that she was on, so I don't know whose season exactly she was on. But she was on The Bachelor.
It was for Nick Vile's heart.
Shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Wait, that's how Nick Vile is famous, because he was on The Bachelor?
He was not only, so he started off as a contestant on Caitlin Bristow's season, who's a very famous Bachelor Nation girly.
Okay, so he was on her Bachelorette season,
and then he himself became the Bachelor.
Okay, and then so obviously, is he with the person he chose on The Bachelor?
No, of course not.
Of course not. Okay, I didn't think so. So now he has like his own podcast like thing.
Yep, and now he just recently got married.
With his wife.
He had a baby recently.
Yes. Okay. All right. I wasn't sure how Nick Vile was famous. I haven't watched The Bachelor in I don't even know how many years. It's probably like a decade at this point.
He has become honestly probably one of the most famous Bachelor Nation people out there.
Okay.
And it's because he does know how to run his podcast very well.
Yes.
He does get a lot of guests.
He does have he seems pretty popular in the pod sphere.
He's been very polarizing as far as reality TV fans go. But yeah.
Well, he's also spilling certain tea as well and giving his quote unquote opinion on certain people that are on reality TV that he quote unquote had relationships with or had a relationship or whatever. So specifically Scheana, he's talking a lot of crap about her. So
a lot of shit about Scheana.
Really?
A lot of shit about, a lot.
Well, but also, not for nothing, he spoke a lot of shit about the Toms too, but he had the Toms on his podcast.
I'm under the assumption that's because Scheana refuses to go on that show. Like, why would she go on a show where you're going to where somebody's going to bash you? Like, I'd rather just, and also, by the way, the reason why the Toms are getting bashed is because Sandoval did a bad thing, did a horrible thing. So he doesn't
many bad things.
They're also really dumb. They're like Tweedledee. What is James Case? Tweedledee and Tweedledee?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like,
Micro penis.
they're the worst. They're so dumb. They could have like that scene like a few weeks ago where we saw them in the car together. They were going to get tattoos. And I'm like, if we saw them like that all the time, I would totally be like a Tom times 2 stan. Like I love a good romance. But they ruin it when they open their mouths.
Yeah, that scene was definitely a vibe when they got in the car a couple weeks ago and they're like bopping to some good music.
It reminded me of when they were opening Tom and had their little sidecar and their matching suits, and like we still had like the veil over our eyes about like these two having like redeemable qualities, right? And like I love that. I used to adore them. Like they were like, and then even the Jacks, like the Three Stooges, they were so stupid and so fun to watch, right? Because they're just out here being like really old guys. Well, they're not really old, but like they're in their 30s doing like really dumb things, but they're not harming anybody while doing it. But now it's like the veil is off. We see who they are, and I'm like, everything's tainted.
I will say this, before Sandoval even happened, one of the girls that I work with worked at Tom for both accounts.
Oh my God.
And I asked her, I was like, so Sandoval or Schwartz? She's like, Schwartz all day. She's like, I love Schwartz. He's freaking amazing. What you see is what you get. He's really, really sweet. She's like, she actually was supposed to have dinner with him the day that Sandoval broke out. And they had to all cancel it, at Schwartz and Sandy's. But
no.
yeah, but then I asked her, I was like, well, what about Sandoval? She's like, that guy is a douche. He is a dick. He's an asshole. He is a nightmare. She's like, I hated working for him. He was terrible. She's like, but she loved Schwartz. She was like, he's a very lovable guy. Like, there's a reason why so many people still to this day will always like stand by Schwartz and be okay with it.
That's like when Lucinda went on the Anne's podcast, basically saying that working with Ariana made her realize that she was the reason why working with Sandoval was even the slightest bit tolerable when she was working on Schwartz and Sandy's.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I always said I think if Schwartz got out from under the thumb of Sandoval, he would be much more lovable. But it's because like he gets right back in with Sandoval. They're like enmeshed in each other. And like if he just got out of that, like I think Schwartzy has potential to be like a fan fave again, or even more so than he was before.
Yeah, I think that he has blind loyalty, like Brittany had with Jax until the veil came finally off, and like even this, and it's different. Like guys have just a different dynamic amongst one another versus like a girl, she's gonna be done. Like certain people are gonna be like, certain people are like, when I'm done with you, I'm done with you. Guys aren't like that. Guys are just like, I can forgive it, whatever. You didn't kill somebody, so like they can move on from it.
Yeah.
He didn't kill anyone.
I love how that's always the main argument.
Why? I hate that argument because like it is just as like, okay, maybe nobody died, but he still did harm. He's still a douchebag.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, look at here's the best example I can give you. He's still friends with Jax, and Jax fucked his girlfriend while they were together in his bed
to the movie Drive.
Yeah, and then it wasn't an affair.
No, but then he went and screwed another one of her friends, and then had a whole ass recording afterwards talk about how he would have fucked a squirrel.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why like guys can get over it, but women just can't. Like, kudos to Brittany, because I've been in a relationship where I've been cheated on, and I've like moved past it, and we've tried to like help out our relationship and move on. It's hard. It is very, very hard. It just shows how strong she really, truly is. But it's hard, man. It's not easy. But guys can move on from that stuff. Like they detach themselves from the emotion, and they use, what is that, the left brain, right, instead of the right brain. Like the right brain is emotional, the left brain's logic or something. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm not saying it's like the right thing to do. I'm just saying that like that's just how they think. So for me, I would definitely be like, I will never look at Sandoval the same way. I'm good with him not being on our screens anymore too, and not being a star and whatever. I don't need to know about his damn life. I'm good.
Well, once he made like the George Floyd and OJ comment, I was like, this needs to be the end of him. Like,
my God,
dude, that was just pure. Like that just shows you how dumb he is.
So
and then on top of it, on camera as well, didn't he compare himself to a literal
Scott Peterson. Yes. Which, by the way, Rachel's lawyer had represented Scott Peterson. The correlation is crazy.
Yeah.
By the way, aren't Rachel and Sandoval's lawyers brothers?
Yes. I have a conspiracy about that.
I love your conspiracy.
I have a conspiracy. They're in cahoots. They've been in cahoots this whole time. They never lost touch. Rachel never ghosted him. They're still talking to each other on the side. They hired the sibling lawyers together. All this just for show.
So quick question then why wouldn't she be on the show?
Because they wouldn't pay her the money they're paying Ariana.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She wanted more money, they wouldn't give it to her, so she used mental health as an excuse. She said that on her podcast. I guarantee you, if they gave her the paycheck that she thought she deserved, her ass would have been on this season.
She just wanted to pay off the Meadows bill, you know?
Because this is the thing, her whole argument about it being leaving the show for her mental health is no longer viable when you are talking about it on your podcast week after week.
And still watching the show.
So I do not believe that mental health excuse at all. And I'm a huge advocate for your mental health. Like if I truly believe that's what her reasoning was, and I would shut it down and I wouldn't question it. But like, you're contradicting yourself by like going on your podcast and talking about it. So I guarantee you, if they paid her what they pay Ariana because she thought she deserved it, her ass would have been on this season.
Yeah. The unfortunate part about that too is Andy has said this. He actually just said this in a Hollywood Reporter magazine article. He basically said like time is your friend when it comes to renegotiating your contract. So like the longer you're on the show, more willing that the network is to give you that higher paycheck. She hasn't been on the show that long. Ariana's been on the show for almost double digits. Like there's a reason why that's another reason why she's gotten that paycheck.
Yep.
However, I will say this, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. She wasn't really doing anything, in my opinion, until the last 2 seasons when her life got blown the fuck up.
No, you're not wrong about that.
I agree with that.
We agree with that.
A lot of her other storyline was small, right?
Yeah.
It was like my animals or my children, you know, like that was a lot of her storyline, like being a mother, like a pet mom, and you know,
maybe buying the house with Sandoval and
that was her last like big storyline was like their house. And that was like her last like big one. No, without Sandoval, I think she probably would have been reduced to like either friend of the cast or like girlfriend of the cast because she wasn't really doing anything, which also feeds into like the people's conspiracy that something about her was the storyline.
Yeah,
because she didn't have anything. So like I'm an Ariana stan. Like I agree with you. Girlie did not have a storyline, but then she got like the ultimate one by pure like cosmic intervention.
Yeah, and also I will give her this. She has admitted that without Sandoval, she wouldn't have gotten any of the things that she's gotten. So she's admitted to that. She has been very open about like, look, yes, I get it. If Sandoval didn't happen, I would not be getting a brand deal with DSW. I wouldn't have gotten Chicago. I wouldn't have gotten, like none of us would have noticed.
Yeah. Big razors. She's done like 3 commercials for them by now. Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, so we'll get back on track. I know we're like just barely halfway through the episode here, but this is what I mean about our tangent. So we're setting up for the gold party. Sandoval paid. We find out then that Sandoval paid his sound engineer to help out with the show, to help out Scheana. Basically, his way of extending the olive branch. We're probably split on whether or not he did this genuinely to make up with Scheana. There's a part of me that might feel like maybe, but ultimately,
he's buying her friendship back because he knows that's what's going to get him back in the group because she won't let go of he took photos with me 15 years ago and she won't let go of, he gave me money during the pandemic. So he knows he buys her these nice things. She's going to be like, well, he's so nice to me.
Well, just like when he got James those sunglasses earlier in the season too.
He paid for for Rachella, whatever it was. Like he buys into his friendships because he doesn't know how to be a genuine person. So he's buying her back. He's like, if I can get things.
Well, presents are his love language, right? Like that's his, so, giving things are his love language, and that's what he wants to do. I'm with you, Taylor. I'm very split on, did he do this genuinely or did he not? I'm going to say I'm 80-20, right?
Yeah.
80%, I'm like, you're doing this for show, sweetie. 20%, I'm like, you're doing this genuinely, only because, and I only give him 20%. Maybe I should give him 10. I give him that 10% or that 20% in between. 15. Let's be compromised. 15. 85-15. Because he gave her money during the pandemic and didn't say a word, didn't post it on social media, didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That is because money is something that tears friendships. It tears marriages, friendships. Like that is like number one right there. If you're not having sex and you guys have financial issues, your marriage is gone. Like it is doomed. So, and that's also with friendships, right? Like there's this episode in Sex and the City where she's like, money tears friendships apart. And I agree with that. So I think I'll give him the 15% because of the money. But man, it's a hard pass on me on thinking that this is all genuine because of what Ariana said in the end with, he's doing this for the cameras. He wants his 15 minutes. He wants the audience to love him again. Like, we see crocodile tears every single 2 seconds with him for the last like season and a half that's been going on with this, right? Like, it's very hard for me to think that he's trying to be genuine.
Yeah, I said this on your pod too, but every time he like does that weird crying thing and he feels the need to cover his full face like this so nobody can see that it's
face in his like closet organizer when he looks at a picture of Rachel.
It's like, we know, dude, it's fake. Yeah. You need a new acting coach, sir.
He's terrible. He's terrible.
So bad. He's so bad.
We'll get further into him because I know that this is not the last that we're going to talk about Sandoval for this episode. There's still plenty more to come. But we'll go back to a happier note for a minute on James and Allie's sweet moment where he whisks her away. They go outside. They have a cute little like moment together. And I know like we talked about this on your pod as well. There's that question, and I think we talked a little bit about this too, probably maybe a week or two ago. But
we talked about a lot of things.
But basically, there's that question, right, of how this is really sweet. Is James the one that's more into Allie than the other way around? And I think we're all kind of on the same page, just from having talked to you, having talked to you. We're all kind of on that page of like James is probably more interested in Allie than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely like when he post Kristen, any relationship he's had post Kristen, he's definitely been, oh dude, look at Lala. I was the first one. Look at when him and Lala were doing whatever him and Lala were doing. He was obsessed with her.
Obsessed
with her. Obsessed. And then obviously then we get to Rachel and then we get to Allie, but like he was obsessed with Lala. And like Lala was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like she was still like flirty and whatever with him, but he was like, oh my God, I've never seen somebody, actually I have, I'm not gonna lie, it's not with me, but like with my girlfriends, I've like never seen guys like so obsessed with a girl than James is with like his, and you know what, half of that is like really sweet. I think that that's great that like you're so in love, or you think that you're so in love with this person and you're really attached to that person and they make you better and all that stuff. The only reason why I think that this one is a little more real for him is because he gave up drinking for himself and not for her. And when he gave up drinking the last time, it was because of an ultimatum that Rachel gave him, not because he wanted to quit drinking. So I think that like once you get to that level, that's when it's actual love, as opposed to, it being like for the other person, which is like doomed to fail. So yeah, I agree with you guys. I think that I think he's always going to be the guy that's more in love with the girl than vice versa. Yeah. And I know that Taylor, you said that Allie might just be what did you say? Did you say cautious?
So
Like a little bit more
cautiously
like
optimistic. Like she
yeah,
might have like at least a little bit of a guard up, just given the history that James has. Given probably just what she already knows about him, there's a chance that she's kind of still holding back a little bit until she knows for sure. But I still think that she loves him to a degree. It's just, of course, like we said before earlier, there was that incident that happened in May after the last year's reunion was filmed, and that she basically packed up, left the house for a couple days, took the cats, and I think that was probably his like coming to Jesus moment where he was like, okay, like I have to get sober and I have to get my shit together because I'm gonna lose everything.
like not only maybe your career and like everything else that you've worked so hard for, but the significant other that you said that you wanted to marry and have children with. This is the other problem with being with somebody that's that much. I don't want to say that much younger because they're not that far apart from one another.
I was gonna say they're not
but
that of a difference.
No, but like Schwartz and his girlfriend are very much they're decades apart. There's like references that he will say to her that she will never ever understand. So like that's a really far apart relationship age wise. But him and James and Allie aren't that far apart. So I think that, but she's still in a point in her life where she has time to have children. So I remember when I was in my 20s, I definitely wasn't thinking about having kids. Like it was nowhere near my radar, right? Like you're thinking like, I still want to go out and enjoy like Coachella and Stagecoach, and I want to go to festivals and whatever and like live my life. But I thought it was sweet that she's like at least open to the marriage part, right?
Yeah.
Because that's half the battle for them. It's kind of similar to, I don't know if you guys watch Summer House, but it's kind of similar to where Paige and Craig are at.
We don't watch it, but it's a possibility of one of the shows that we'll watch next.
Yeah.
Because you know how I told you earlier about like deciding between housewives and stuff? We're possibly also thinking about Summer House as well.
I'm trying to get her to do Below Deck.
I will say this before we got on, a little quick announcement. I'm going to say it on mine as well. But congratulations to Aisha Scott from Below Deck, who just got engaged.
Aww.
I love her. I love that for her.
And she's amazing. She's the one that's also on the Australian Below Deck. She's great. Okay, for her, if she's still on TV, I will absolutely watch that bitch.
Yeah, she is Chief Stew. She's the Chief Stew of the new Med season.
Yeah. So I will watch. I will watch certain people like June Hannah. I'll watch Hannah. If she ever came back on, I would watch her.
Her and Kate, I miss them so much. Like I love Frasier, but it just does not hit the same as like Kate and Hannah. It just doesn't.
But we're at the gold party. We see Schwartz and Joe. If you're watching the edited version, this is the first time you're seeing Joe for the episode. If you were watching the unedited version, then this is the second time we're seeing Joe. But this is when Schwartz basically throws Joe at Katie to talk. And this conversation, I know we talked a little bit about it earlier, but it still felt very forced to me. It felt very much like, okay, Joe, we have to film this scene together. Let's go talk to Katie.
It was so produced. That shit was so produced. That was absolutely 100%. You guys need to have a conversation.
Whoop. I'm sorry if I hurt you.
Especially because I think it would have felt more genuine if the conversation had come up authentically and organically rather than Schwartzy going, didn't you have something you wanted to say?
It felt like a dad basically bringing his kid who he just got in trouble to apologize to the other kid that they bit at the playground.
Yes.
I will say this. I know what job Schwartz will never ever have, and that is being a producer because he did not do that.
There's no suave to what he does.
No, at least like Lala as we all think, we think the producer plant, like she does it in a way that makes it feel like she's not actually doing it, but the producers want her to do. But like Schwartz, and like I feel like Schwartz and Sandoval, like you always know the moment those two have gotten like in their ear, the producers are like, we want this scene. Like you get it right away.
And Brock too.
And Brock, yeah. You just like that scene last week where he was talking to Ariana as they were walking. That felt so producer like influenced. But like this whole conversation with Joe was just weird. It didn't need to happen. I didn't need to hear it. Like
And then Lala's just like, oh no, Joe, don't start crying, Joe.
Yeah.
Well, and also in the end too, when Joe leaves, and then also obviously Lala's gone or whatever, and it's just Schwartz and Katie. She literally goes to him and says, "I don't want to talk to her. I want nothing to do with her. If you want to be my friend, why did you even bring her over? You should have never brought her over." Like the whole entire point of this was like, you shouldn't have brought her over, man. Like producer or no producer, like this was such a forced scene, and it was so unnecessary. Unnecessary. And also as an audience member, I didn't want to see it. I don't
give a shit about Joe.
No,
I don't care about Joe.
Yeah.
No, her and Billie Lee, if I never see them on my TV again, I will be so happy.
I forgot that Billie Lee was even in this episode.
It was a blip and you miss her.
Literally.
I mean, but that's how much we should have seen of her and Joe. A blip.
Wait,
if you were gonna put them in, put a blip down.
Seriously, none of this like staring at Tom while he's in the cold plunge. It was fucking weird. But what are your thoughts on, because obviously this all came out yesterday, where apparently Billie Lee blocked or unfollowed, I should say, Sandoval and his girlfriend Victoria Lee. Apparently weeks ago this happened. She unfollowed the both of them. And then last night, after Watch What Happens Live, Sandoval, Victoria Lee both unfollowed each other and then refollowed each other like this morning, the next day or something like that.
It was the same day. So that I saw. Thank you, Bravo babe.
Love Bravo babe.
Mm-hmm. Love her. She's great. I did not, however, see the Billie Lee unfollowing of Sandoval and Victoria, but I mean, maybe it's just Sandoval being Sandoval.
It could be.
Wouldn't really shock me. You know, like him being like, you know what, I need to have certain friends, or maybe it could be a whole thing where like this is their relationship and he is toxic, he is crazy, so I could see them maybe fighting or something like that, like him and Victoria fighting, and then like in front of Billie Lee, and then like having to do with her or something. That's kind of sus though, because that would kind of adhere to the theory that, I forget who said it, but somebody thought that they had hooked up.
They definitely hooked up.
Billie
Lee had hooked up.
Looks at Tom Sandoval, she wants that man.
Well, that's why it's so shocking that she unfollowed him and her, because she rode so hard for Tom Sandoval throughout the whole last year. She was basically staying at the house. She was watering Ariana's plants and walking Maya and like doing all of these things, and then all of a sudden, just clean slate, like a thief in the night, just unfollowed. They just are no longer friends
because he didn't pick her.
Well,
Let's be honest. He got a girlfriend. He strung her along, and then he got a girlfriend, and then she realized that he wasn't gonna pick her.
My other thought too on like the Victoria Lee and Sandoval and blocking and refollowing, or I keep saying blocking, but unfollowing and then refollowing. My thought on that is there's a chance that the night before, right, when Andy asked him that question about, you know, how long have you guys been dating? He said like 3 or 4 months, and she's just like, no. She probably was under the impression that they were dating for much longer, which meant he probably got with some girl, and then he did the same thing that he did with Ariana, where he was like, well, we're not exclusive, so, you know, now we're exclusive. You are now, I dubbed the girlfriend. I actually had a guy say
I did not even think about that, but that is so spot on.
Yes,
that is
because if we know
girl part 2.
Because if we know anything about Sandoval, he's gonna repeat a pattern.
No, it's just a
like once a cheater, always a cheater. There's a saying too, like you, it doesn't matter how hot the chick, there's always gonna be some guy that's sick of fucking her.
Yep.
And like he obviously is a hoe. Like he wants to like, he's such a hoe. Like, don't sit there and tell me that like you have this disconnect with Ariana and that's why you had this affair with Rachel. Stop. Because if that was the case, then this would have been a one-time thing. Mm-hmm. You had an affair with Ariana prior to, while you were dating Kristen. While you were dating Kristen, you slept around the entire relationship that you guys were together, and don't get me wrong, Kristen's to blame as well. She also slept with multiple people during the relationship. But we're just talking about you, Sandoval. So you slept with people during the entire relationship when you were with Kristen. When you were with Ariana, you cheated on her left and right the entire relationship that you were with her. What makes you think that this is going to be any different by you being with this chick? He just needs to be a hoe and be single. Like,
I just want to understand, like, non-monogamy is a thing. Like, you can be non-monogamous. Like, if that's what you want to do, just do it. Like, no one's holding
he knows how to do that.
You have to be monogamous. Someone's telling him he has to do that.
Yeah, and it's crazy. All you need to do is watch the show or get an idea of how the show worked and what Sandoval did, and she would come to this awakening, like, oh shit, I should.
She doesn't even need to watch the show. It was all over the news for months, a year now.
Use the Google.
Like, hello.
It was on CNN, people. It was on CNN.
See, and any woman that dates him now after this, I have a question. I have questions because, like, why? Like, we know who this man is now. Everybody and their grandmother knows who this man is now.
He dodged several bullets when she jumped ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, I don't think that he knows how to be monogamous.
No, which was
or not to be monogamous. Sorry, not to be monogamous.
I don't think he knows how to do either. He doesn't know because he didn't want to put in the work with Ariana. If he really wanted to stay with Ariana, he didn't want to put in the work in order to sleep with her. She had told him for years now what she needed in order to be intimate with him, and he didn't want to put in the work. He doesn't want to put in the work to stay monogamous, but he doesn't want to put in the work to be ethically non-monogamous. So he's in this middle ground of, like, doing fucked up shit.
All right, so we'll go back again to BPR. We get an extended scene. Scheana's getting ready to perform her songs, Apple, Good as Gold. Her dress breaks. That's basically all that we see in the extended scene, and that's why she went from wearing, like, this nice full dress to then all of a sudden wearing, like, the ruffled skirt.
Oh, I thought that was on purpose.
Nope, that's because her dress broke.
Oh, okay.
Then we have a quick scene of Sandoval, Scheana, Lala, Kyle. Tom is thanking Brock for standing up for him. Brock's like, all right, mate, no big day. That was a really bad Australian accent. I'm sorry for that. Then we have, the performance of Apple's. We get another extended scene where she actually performs Good as Gold. But they didn't show the whole thing. They just showed, like,
I much rather would have heard Good as Gold over Apple's.
Emo Good as Gold is better than original.
Iconic. Emo Good as Gold. Iconic song. Yeah,
you know what? Here's the thing. Like, I agree with you on the Apples one. I was like, like, lackluster. And I can understand why Sandoval would be like, it grew on me. Cause, like, I think that's, like, if you've ever watched Napoleon Dynamite, you're not going to watch it the first time and be hooked. You have to watch it, like, multiple in order to, like, enjoy the song. So I think that that's probably Apples for some people. I can live without it. It's fine. But, like, whatever. Good as Gold, the original and emo version, I'm down. It's great.
Iconic. Yeah. It's like classic VPR. Yeah.
Brings you back to a better time.
Scheana dancing in gold shorts and gold high top sneakers on the third bar. Like, it is iconic shit. Yeah.
I love when they flash back to that, by the way, too. When she's like, I'm only used to dancing on the bar.
Yes.
So good.
At her engagement. That was her engagement party to Shay, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, there was a couple of times where they had her do that. Like, they've had her do it at Pride. They've had her do it at her engagement party.
I think the Good as Gold. I think that was the performance where she's in those gold and white sneakers was Pride. I don't think that it was her engagement party. I think it was Pride.
Okay. Yeah.
But there was another one where she did perform it for her engagement.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then that was when Jackson Sandoval got into that fight. That was pretty funny. So now Ariana basically goes, I need to go hug Scheana, which could also have been seen as production said, all right, go talk to Scheana. And we'll see why in a second. But she does go up to Scheana. She gives her a hug. She's being very supportive of Scheana. And Scheana, once again, does not understand. And she's doing that puppy dog thing again that I mentioned earlier, where she's like, yeah, Sandoval paid for his sound guy to come. Do you know who the sound guy is? Oh my God, like, it's just reminding me of all the good things that he's ever done in his life. And I want to continue to see if he's on a good path to change. Like, isn't that good, Ariana? We did good, right? No, bitch.
No.
We still did not. And she's respectfully, stop. Stop talking about him.
Like, I do not want him in my life anymore. He is not a part of my life. I'm good with never talking about him ever again. Stop talking about him. He is just my ex-boyfriend who does not deserve the same breath as me. Here's my thing is that, like, I think that she could have worded it differently, but I get where she's coming from. Because in real life, and I'm not saying this isn't real life, but like in a normal circumstance, these two would not be talking to one another. They wouldn't be near one another. They wouldn't be at the same event with one another. What was the last time that you saw your ex?
Couldn't tell you.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, granted, I get it. They're on a reality show. They have to film with each other. It's in their whatever. I get it. They have to show their lives, blah, blah, blah. And I know Lala, like, talks about that later. But not that all that withstanding, in a normal situation, if she was in a normal world, he would not be in her sphere. He wouldn't be anywhere near her, and vice versa, right?
Never.
Like, they would just literally just split. It's frustrating because I get where everybody's coming from, that they've all had to have the hard talks and the hard conversations, but I'll give her credit. She has been consistent. She has not steered away, with the exception of Scheana. She has not steered away, because this is the scene where she goes up to Scheana and says, "You will never lose me." But she does, and the editors, God, I love the Bravo editors. They go back in time, not even back in time, like back months, and say, you know, if you are friends with him, you cannot be friends with me. But then she says, I will never not be your friend. I think she's doing what Janet's doing, and she's just distancing herself from her. I don't think that she's like, you know, they're just not on the same level that they used to.
There was another point that I was going to make with that too, and I've lost it, but I did accidentally skip ahead of a couple of things, where one of which being where Sandoval introduces himself to Dan.
The lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch. Okay? Go away. Go away. You don't need to introduce yourself. It's so manipulative. It is so narcissistic. Like, you do not leave her alone. Leave Dan alone. You have no business. Like, you don't need to introduce yourself. Just leave.
But guys, he wants his camera time.
I don't give a shit what he wants.
Oh, yeah.
Leave her the fuck alone. There are ways to do the show and respect everybody's boundaries.
Yeah. So, obviously, Dan handled that like a champ.
Like a champ.
As per usual.
Like a king.
Like a king. They do the extended scene where the creepy random guy is very drunk. He's trying to make his way in with the rest of the crowd.
Oh, that was pre like ending?
That was pre-ending, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I do love how Brock handled that situation. Was like, all right, mate, I'm gonna sit right here, and like tried to get him out of there. But, and I think I said this on my show. I was like, I wish that security was with them before they prior to them rapping or whatever, and just we're right there, because you got a lot of random people at that event.
Yeah.
It's not like a person, and granted, it's a personal invite, but people bring other people, right?
Yeah.
They bring plus ones, and that guy was hammered. Like, he was drinking drinks, other people's drinks. He was drinking other people's drinks on the table that weren't even
so
his.
gross.
Oh
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you know that they're wasted, that they're like not even in the right mind, drunk. So like, he's doing all that, and I'm sure that he's like, ooh, cameras around. Like, he knew that they were going to be filming, because before you walk into any venue, they have to tell you will be filmed. Like, by you entering in here, you give consent for your image and likeness and all that crap. So he knew he was being filmed. He knew he was going to be on TV in some capacity or whatever, right? So he obviously wanted it and made it happen. He made it happen on the extended version, not on the actual national stage. So I guess
Like,
good
oops,
for him.
sorry. Gotta have Peacock in order to see it.
Gotta pay that $4.99 a month, guys.
I have here Ariana's confessional, where she says, "I'm not here to be a cog in the machine of Tom Sandoval's redemption arc. You can do that without me." And I feel like that was Ariana's way of like quiet quitting. Like, you're going to keep forcing this on me and violate the contract that we have. Because I'm sure maybe she tried to put it in her contract, like they cannot interact, and they're violating that. And she's going to be like, "Bye, peace out, see ya."
Wasn't there a post where she said, "Look at my contract"?
I don't recall that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was a thing.
Not on the show. I think she said it like on social media or something like that or whatever. I think she was like, look at my contract. And yeah, so look, if it's in her contract and you guys can't, that's what it took in order to get her on there. Don't violate it. Universal, you already have a ton of strikes against you right now. You got a lot of lawsuits, man. Don't tack on another one.
No, and on top of that, Ariana's got more of a leg to stand on now than she did back then because she's very high in demand right now. People want a piece of Ariana Madix.
I mean, she's doing she's going back to Chicago. That doesn't happen often.
After her Love Island run.
Yeah.
But back to where we were, Sandoval comes in during Ariana and Scheana's conversation after she's all like, "We did good, Ariana, right?"
I have to. I want to quote something Ariana said because we didn't bring this up when I think it was either in her confessional or something else, where she said, "I don't understand why everybody thinks that they know him better than I do."
Yes.
That I don't understand why Scheana thinks that she knows Tom Sandoval better than I did as his partner of a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that, I don't know, that was a very wonderful thing for her to say, because I feel like a lot of people needed to hear that, because everyone's like, well, he's this. He's like, you didn't live with him. You weren't with him like 99.9% of the time.
You didn't live with him.
You didn't live with him. You film with him. Her job is with him. Like, her life was so intertwined with him. And I understand how frustrated she is by everybody throwing him in her face when she's consistently telling you to not do it, because she knows him better than every single person in that room. And I throw that out there. I thought that was a good thing for her. Right up there with her cog in the wheel. Those were like two iconic lines that she had last night.
Yeah, no, that's a very great point. It's a very great point to make, that she, like, nobody knows what happens behind closed doors, but she knows what happened behind closed doors.
She knows everything.
Yeah, he's two different people.
Yes.
You know, and
I
she
think
knows
what
both
she
of
was trying to say all season to everybody was that, like, he is different with her than this. Her heart is different than yours because she knows him intimately better than anyone else.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, that's why he apologized to literally everybody but her after everything came out. Everybody but her. He apologized to Scheana, apologized to Schwartz, probably to Kyle Chan for all we know, but never her.
I will say this. I don't think that he really truly apologized to these people, because he did a "I'm sorry, but" to all of them. So he might have said, like, "I'm sorry," and then, like, got cut off, but he always wanted to put the "but" there, or the "however" there.
Even if it wasn't said, it was in the air. It was the unsaid word. And anything that comes before "but" is null and void. You didn't mean it. You don't actually mean it. It doesn't exist.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's where that's where he loses everybody. And I think that's another reason why everybody is on Ariana's side, because he's just not genuine. Like,
no, and everything that he did during the season, he has contradicted in this postseason that we see, like, in the real world, things that he said on podcasts, all of that. Like, he's just
the after show.
The after shows,
the New York Times,
everything he has done has just. And I think that if he had kept his mouth shut in this postseason, then I think this redemption arc probably would have played out the way he wanted to. But unfortunately for him, he doesn't know when to shut up. And everything he has said, he has no remorse. He doesn't feel sorry. He's not sorry. It goes to that very cliffhanger at the very end of the show, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But, like, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He has no remorse. He doesn't feel bad. He got what he wanted, and that's all that matters to him.
Yep. And I said this on your pod too, but he's still out there lying too in his lawsuit with Rachel, and he's basically having his lawyer argue that Rachel was the one who recorded the FaceTime video, when it's very easy to prove that was a lie. Like, this man knows how FaceTime works, but they're still trying to he's just throwing shit at the wall and just hoping that something will stick.
A narcissist will do anything they can to get their point of view to be the point of view.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to throw everything he has at the wall until something sticks.
That's why they love therapy too, because it's all about them. It's all about, I tried to do this and I tried to do that. And they're like, I wish that he would grow up, but I just don't see it happening.
No.
I just don't see it happening. Yeah.
Period.
He's going to be this way for the rest of his life. There's no changing him because he won't admit that there's a problem. That is the number one key. A narcissist can be a good person and change, but they have to admit that they are a narcissist and they have problems and they need to change. Tom Sandoval will never do that. He will never do that.
He will deflect and he will pass blame.
He is, like Lala said last year, and it really upsets me that she went back on this, that he is a dangerous and unsafe person. And he will forever be a dangerous and unsafe person.
You isolate, you lie, you groom. If only she meant that. Because
I think there's a part of her that does mean that. I know I'm angry at Lala, and I know that I rage about Lala a lot. And
I'm plenty mad at Lala.
Oh no, and I am mad at Lala, but I think there is a part of her that there is a human part of her in there that does believe these things because she sees the similarities between Tom Sandoval and Randall. But she's just so entrenched in this reality TV and this paycheck that she's willing to do anything to keep it.
I mean, let's also keep in mind she's a mother first, and that's what's going to be a priority is providing for those kids. And in that, she has to keep the paycheck coming. So I get it. I get it. Yes. Is it great that she, is this person or whatever? Then probably not. I'm still okay with what she's doing because oddly enough, this is who she is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is actually her being her genuine self. And that's what she's bitching and complaining about is that nobody else is being their genuine self. Right? Like in front of the camera, behind the camera, in front of the camera, etc. Like she is this all the time. She's not putting on a face. She's putting on a producer hat to a certain extent. She even says this on the show in the very end of the show. She says, fuck it, I'm breaking the fourth wall. And that's just who she is, right? She's like, I haven't done this ever, but I'm doing it now. And then breaks the fourth wall. Which, by the way, that is the one thing that I will give this episode. I love that they did that. I love it. Yeah. Like Ariana went and broke the fourth wall and talked to the producer was like, absolutely not. Lala went and broke the fourth wall and was like, this is what needs to happen, blah, blah, blah. Like, broke the fourth wall. Like, I love that. I love that. I wish that they would do that more on Vanderpump because they do it a lot on Orange County. And they do it a lot on Beverly Hills. And they do it a lot on all these housewife shows. And it's awesome. It
makes it more authentic. It makes it more authentic. Yeah.
Fully immersing yourself in the experience. Yeah. So this is where, I go again. Scheana does not really have any true loyalty to Ariana because the second Ariana walks away, she's bringing that conversation that she had with her to Sandoval because Sandoval wants to apologize on camera. And then he goes on a whole tirade 5 seconds later, telling the whole group, Ariana talks shit about all of you. She hates you all. She needs to stop being so fucking lazy.
I bet is lazy in the room with us right now.
Like doing all these opportunities and somehow she's lazy.
This is what I think. I said this on our podcast recently that I think his interpretation of lazy is when she's in a depressive episode, right? When she struggles to get out of bed, she struggles to do things because she's in a depressive episode and she has never faltered on her being clinically depressed. And so he uses that against her. He's vilifying that laziness. But is it in the real because homegirl is booked and busy? You can't be lazy and be on Broadway or dancing with the stars.
So here's the thing that I'm thinking of is that he did this with James. He's done this with Jax. He's done this with Katie. He's done this with other people that are in that crew. Lala. He did it to Scheana with the mistress thing. He brings up the past a lot.
Oh yeah,
so much because he has nothing else.
Yeah. He has no other foot to stand on, or leg to stand on. So that's what I think that he is referring to. I think he's referring to the past where he's like, you didn't have a storyline without me. You didn't have, you wouldn't have had, the last storyline you had, like we mentioned, was the house or whatever prior to Sandoval. So I think that's what he's mentioning because, again, he has nothing else. The bitch just booked freaking Chicago. She's going and doing these things. She's going and doing all this work right now. Now, you want to bring up the past? The past is done. It's over. move forward. Like, if you want to talk about the now, she's not lazy. She
At
is
this
moving
point,
forward, and she is staying.
yeah, at this point too, she was probably in the middle of Dancing with the Stars. If not, like, if they didn't start filming, they started training. She was already training for Dancing with the Stars when this was all going on.
It started right after they this finale party. I think like 2 weeks after this is when Dancing with the Stars started.
Yeah, I believe after they wrapped the show, the quote unquote finale, that's when it started. Like, her training probably began maybe like a week out or something like that. I think it started.
Wild. Absolutely wild. So I think, yeah, his true colors really do start to show because, you know, obviously he's like, oh, I want to apologize to Ariana. I want to start anew. But then, like, the second he doesn't get what he wants, his whole tone shifts.
Classic narcissist.
Shifts.
It's classic narcissism. You don't get your way and you narc rage. He gets red in the face. He brings up the past issues because he has nothing else to stand on. And it is a classic narc rage. I have lived it my whole life. It is classic.
Yeah.
Classic. It is like textbook.
Oh, and then people are split, of course, on Ariana leaving to avoid the conversation with Sandoval. And, you know, there's the tirade that Lala then went on. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier. And, you know, people can understand Lala's standpoint where it's like, you know, you should be having these difficult conversations in order for us to move because we have to film a show. We have to do this. Where I fall is really like, I can understand that argument for literally anybody else. But I think that with Ariana talking to Tom Sandoval, I just think it's because of Sandoval being himself. It's a waste of a conversation. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go where it needs to go.
About it.
Well, exactly. It's not going to go where it needs to go in order for everybody to move on.
It's only going to hurt. It's only going to hurt her. And there's no point in her doing that. I am like 50-50 on this because I agree with the original sentiment of Lala, where it's like you have to have these difficult conversations. We're filming a show. Like, her argument had a point, and I agree with it somewhat. But where she loses me is forcing her friend to have a conversation with somebody who has had a year, 6 months to apologize off camera without it for the audience, and he hasn't done it. If he was genuine about it, he could have written her a letter, like she said in her confessional. And that's where Lala loses me, because he's not genuine, and no conversation that they have on camera is going to do anything but hurt her recovery and emotional like state of getting over this thing. You want her to get over it. You want her to get over it so bad. Let her do it. Throwing Tom Sandoval in her face is not going to help her get over it.
Yeah, also she is not ready to receive it and doesn't want to receive it. She's already made that very clear.
No. Yes.
She's made it very, very clear throughout the entire season that she wants nothing to do with him, even if he did apologize, she doesn't want the apology. And she said that to Scheana while they were discussing it before he came over and kind of wrecked their moment. She's been consistent, and that's something that you have to give her, is that she has not faltered from not wanting to talk to him and not wanting him in her life. So I'll give her that. I do, however, agree with Lala. Like, and I wonder how it would be if she had to film with Randall. That's my ultimate question mark. Like, if the shoe were on the other foot and he was a full-time cast member and they had to have that difficult conversation on camera, would you have it? Because he did some dirty. He did you dirty too, and I don't think that she would have that conversation either, because she would be that hurt, especially only 3 months out, 3 or 4 months out of their relationship.
Frustrating me with her, and that's where she's losing me. Is that her and Ariana could have had this boss babe united front of dealing with men like this together, and she's losing me because if the shoe was on the other foot, she would be acting the exact same way as Ariana. Yeah. She had a whole fight with Schwartz seasons ago about going to play racquetball with Rando because she wanted no contact. But you're not willing to give your friend the same courtesy.
Well, I was actually just going to bring that up too. That was actually season 10.
Okay.
So season 10 started, the very first episode was it was filmed 7 months post breakup with Randall, and Lala was still very hot and very angry at Schwartz for playing pickleball with Randall. That was 7 months post breakup, and she's like, we are not going to have mutuals. If you fuck with him, you do not fuck with me. And that was a whole like storyline for Lala for the first like third of the season. So it's interesting, right, to see Lala now in this position where like Ariana does have to film with her ex, and Ariana's in the same boat emotionally as Lala was when her and Rand broke up. Like, yeah, you can compare the situations in the sense like, okay, there's a child involved. Lala felt so unsafe that she had to leave the house or whatever. Those things aside, you know, they had a partner that they were with for a long time that they thought they were going to spend the rest of their life with. They cheated. They did some really shitty things. And now one is having to film with the ex, the other one does not. But they are both in the same boat of, you guys cannot fuck with him. You guys should not speak to him, or don't have anything to do with them and me at the same time. You know? So it's
it's hard, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm split. I'm split. Like, I get where I can play devil's advocate and I get where both of them are coming from.
Yeah.
I'm gonna again go with this on this one. I'm gonna go 60-40. I'm on Lala's side 60 and I'm on Ariana's side 40.
Yeah.
I just, because I can understand I can understand Ariana's point of view, but at the same time, like, you still wrote the contract and you still are on the show and you're supposed to give all of your life. And I think prior to montage, Lala says that in her confessional, and it's just really, really hard for me to not to disagree with her on that one, because they're supposed to give their authentic life.
But we do get to the montage. This montage is kind of giving series ending, so I'm curious if this is going to be if they do get a season 12, right, and they're doing a montage in season 11, part of me is wondering if they're anticipating on not having a season 12. But if they do end up having a season 12, I wonder how they'll end that. This was a very conflicting ending.
Yeah, it looked like it was over. Like, it looked like this was the end. Like, it definitely was giving like montage, like, this is how we started, now this is how we're ending vibes. Like, it did not seem like it was like, oh, a next season on Vanderpump Rules. Like, it did not give that kind of feeling whatsoever. So I will be very interested to see what they do with this pause. Again, I've been asking for a reboot forever, so I don't think it's going to happen. This might just be we might be seeing the end of VPR. I'm wondering, however, though, too, if people are going to be pissed if this is the end.
Well, I know people have been saying for a while that this, like, they want it to end, but I don't know if people really are believing that they want it to end. You know, like, it's kind of like one of those things, like, it's the end of an era, but it's like, oh shit, I wasn't actually ready for it, you know? Like, me personally, I just fucking got here. It's like, got here, and now you're telling me I gotta go leave and find something else?
Yeah. No, I definitely, I don't know. I mean, like, again, if you're a day oneer, it might be time, man. I mean, they're in their 30s, like, some of them are in their 40s. Like, there's only so much I can see of you guys getting hammered together and drinking in Cabo. There's just only so much. I think, like, it's time to move. I'm fine with them moving on. If this is it and this was the end, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Would you guys be bummed if they were done after this?
Not really, no.
I mean, I know you would be.
No, I don't think. I think I'm like 50-50 on it, right? Because, like, I think for everybody's sake and everybody's mental health, and, like, it's done, it's run its course. Like, this was the end. And that hot mic moment at the end really just felt like the final nail in the coffin of, like, anybody really wanting to watch any of these people ever again, especially Tom Sandoval. But then it's like, at the same time, it's like, I don't want it to end because I love the chaos. Like, they're so messy, and it's fun to watch messy. But at the same time, it's like, it is, how many times can you watch the same person make the same mistake and be the same individual? Because that hot mic moment at the end just proved everything that he was trying to do wrong.
Oh, that hot mic moment was insane. I wonder if the hot mic moment is the moment that they're going to watch for the first time at the reunion, because we have that cliffhanger on us.
Maybe that would make a lot of sense, because there's, like, the context to which the audience saw it versus the context for which they saw it are two totally separate things. right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he could have been. I think he said something on Watch What Happens Live about that hot mic moment.
It was
when
bullshit.
he was with Janet. yeah, but like, yeah. I mean, do you really believe anything that comes out of his mouth
No,
at this point? No. Like,
I think
everything
that hot mic moment was the first time that he was authentic all season.
Yeah.
He goes, that worked out perfectly for me. I loved that. Now everyone's on my side because she left. She couldn't stick it out. And that was the first time all season that he actually told the truth. He was so happy with that.
He felt safe.
Yeah.
He got his way. He did exactly what he wanted to do, and what Ariana had said. He's going to try and ice me out. He's going to turn everybody against me, and he got his way. He did exactly what he wanted to do.
Yeah. I just, I will find it interesting if they do talk about that hot mic moment at the reunion. That I kind of, now that you put that in my head about like maybe that's what they talk about.
They can't put it in there and then not talk about it at the reunion. Like, you can't drop a bomb like that and then just gloss over it.
I mean, that has to be a question from the audience of like, what the hell was the hot mic moment about? Like, what did you really truly mean?
Like, what's the content?
Like, but like my problem with that question though is that I don't think he'll answer it authentically. So it's like, it's null and void.
Well, even on Watch What Happens Live, right? Like, we watched him basically just stumble and trip over his words. I don't know if you noticed, but I even said this to my boyfriend when we were watching it last night. I looked at his hands. His hands were shaking as he was trying to answer that question. He was not steady. He was nervous. Like, he was trying to find a way to jump around what he was saying.
Did he do that thing where he's like, well, a lot
of word salad.
Yeah. He basically said,
I kind of catch him in a lie. You catch him in a lie when he starts doing that.
He was like, oh, well, I had a job to do, and I was just happy to see that I at least showed up and did my job. And that was essentially what he said, minus all of like the likes and
okay, but she also showed up and did her job. She showed up and did her job all season. She was in multiple instances in the room with him, at events with him. She was there. She did it, but she doesn't owe him a conversation. If you're not gonna, and I think that if he had apologized or attempted to apologize off camera, she would have been more willing to listen to him on camera.
Yeah, and I don't believe that because he said on Watch What Happens Live that he tried. Bullshit, you tried.
Bullshit.
Because she would have said something. She would have been like, well, at least he tried to like apologize, but his apology wasn't genuine. She'd say something to that effect.
She has been the only person who has told the truth about this entire scandal from the start. Her story has never wavered. It has never changed. And she's the only person, I think, that is genuinely telling the truth about what is happening with Tom Sandoval.
Well, exactly, right? How can anybody believe what he has to say when he's already been proven to be a known liar? How do you believe a known liar? You know? At this point, he's telling the truth, but at this point, it doesn't matter.
It's the boy that cried wolf. You've lied so much now that I can't believe anything you're telling me. I can't believe anything you're telling me. And when there's evidence to the contrary, if you are not willing to apologize to her when the cameras are not rolling, then your apology to her on camera is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there is like literally no genuineness coming out of his mouth. At least for me. There's no like none.
Especially when he's sitting right next to Jax Taylor.
Like, I mean, both of them were floundering too. Both of them were floundering on Watch What Happens Live, man.
It's for two people that lie so often. They are shit at it.
Ooh, shout out to his surgeon, by the way, that basically called out his pasta addiction by saying, "Oh yeah, that nose has been through a lot."
Shut up.
We knew what the fuck he was talking about.
Front door.
So he did. Yeah, so he did, however, shout out like that he went through a glass window or something like that, or hit a glass window, and that they said that he got another surgery because of the fight that him and Tom were in.
Yeah.
But trust, like, so he got correctional surgery 4 times. Trust me, 2 of those times were for the pasta. It was about
absolutely for the pasta. Absolutely. Well, there was that whole thing a couple weeks ago on Reddit that somebody was at an event that he was at, and he was yelling for pasta. He hooked up with.
I think he tried to deny it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was trying to deny it.
There was witnesses. People heard him. People saw him.
Wait, we didn't bring this up once. What are your thoughts? Did he sleep with Lori or not?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Girl.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. First of
No.
all, he's single. She's not, technically, when they hooked up. Like, he's single. She's not single. She's married. The bitch is married.
Oh,
She's
with
been on the
kids and
podcast,
everything.
by the way. Yep.
2 kids. Yep. Mhm.
Yep. So they might have been both doing the pasta and drinking.
Probably.
Mm.
Wouldn't be that shocking.
Yeah, no. And so, I mean, when you're drinking and doing pasta, your inhibitions are going to drop.
Mhm.
So, and I get it. He's a good looking dude. He's not ugly.
He's not ugly.
No, he's not as hot as he was when he was like 30, 20 years old, but he's, still an attractive guy. So, like, I get the allure, and he's a celebrity-ish.
Do you think Lori is the first person he's left with? Do you think he's been faithful the entire marriage to Brittany?
I want to say yes, because just because, like, they keep in mind they also were married during COVID. So, like, how is he, like,
where's he going?
Effort. Yeah, like, that takes some effort, man. If you're gonna leave during COVID, when when your wife just had a child, like, that takes some effort. And LA was just like New York was on lockdown. Like, you couldn't do anything. So, like, where is he gonna meet this chick? I don't know. And he was also in a really low spot in his life too, like just getting fired. Like, Brittany was the main breadwinner during COVID for them. Like, she had that Jenny Craig thing that she still has or whatever. So I think that, I mean, if he did cheat, it wouldn't shock me, but I don't think he did. And especially, like, if you watch The Valley, like, there's a huge communicate. Like, he's a dick. Like,
he's an asshole.
Admitted that he's an asshole, and he has anger issues and just has, like, a really quick fuse. So I think that, like, that them talking with one another and stuff like that and constantly arguing, I get it. Like, I get why this is the reason for the split, not the cheating part. So, I mean, I'm gonna try and give him the benefit of the doubt. But I'm sure that, like, now that he's out and about and stuff like that, I actually have personal stories. I'll tell you guys off this podcast, but I have personal stories from sources that have partied with him.
Oh, Jesus.
I said that I think if the minute he got that bar, that was it. That
foot was out the door.
Was out the door. That bar was his in with girls and pasta.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, there's an episode, I think, what is it, like the second or third episode of The Valley where he's interviewing girls.
Oh, yeah. And
that's all I'll say. That's all.
And they were at that party too, like another episode later, and both him and Jesse were
the Mondrian.
Of course, at the Mondrian. We titled an episode for this reason, and it's like, no good happens at the Mondrian, because literally nothing good happens at the Mondrian. Somebody's always cheating. That's where the affair started, the Sandoval.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, boys' night. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Like, some of these guys just need to be single. They just need to be single. Be single.
Go to therapy,
like, enjoy your life.
Be single. Yeah. Reevaluate. Maybe rehab too.
Try eating less pasta.
That's the problem. There's a saying. It's always snowing in LA.
Makes sense.
Like, always. So I don't. It's going to be really hard, especially if you own a bar. It's going to be very hard for you to sans that habit. He's definitely going to have to try to, like, and drinking triggers it, I'm sure. If he quit drinking, then I bet you he wouldn't be doing it. So, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know his habits. So, but yeah, he's a special one. That guy Jax. Thank you for blessing us with on the screen, buddy. I actually have. I'm not going to lie to you. I have missed him being on our TV screens, and I'm stoked that him, Kristen, and Brittany are back on.
So messy. So messy.
They
perfect reality television. They are like perfect for reality TV because they are so chaotic and messy and trashy, and it's just like
they understand the assignment.
They understand the assignment. Yeah.
Oh, they totally understand the assignment. Like, I love that Kristen is like, she inadvertently is like the shit stirrer, even though Jax is really the shit stirrer. And we
The
can
biggest one out of all
sprinkle in
of them.
Janet. Yeah, we can sprinkle in Janet too, but let's get real. Jax was the one that was like trying to like stir the pot, but
He
not
did
be
it
blamed
when
for
he was
stirring
on
the pot.
VPR a couple episodes ago.
Oh yeah.
He said one thing, and then 2 seconds later, he's in the back room telling exactly that. Or was it Ariana? 4 minutes.
It's went
4
by.
minutes, and he told Ariana that the talents were moving in together.
4
That
minutes.
episode with him was great. That episode with him was great. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like very like it was great.
Hate him so much.
He's
and
like,
I
I'm
hate
not a
watching him,
gossiper,
but he
guys.
makes good television. And I hate having him on my TV screen because he's a terrible human being, but he makes good television.
You guys know that I don't like to gossip, but
Bitch, where? Bitch, where?
well, this was such an incredible recap. I'm so glad that we had you to talk about the finale because this was amazing.
No, thank you so much for having me on, you guys. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for reaching out. Even this was an incredible experience being on your podcast, having you here. This was great, and we're definitely going to need to have you back.
Oh yeah.
No, anytime you let me know, I will gladly drop whatever and be on for sure. I need to have both of you on, by the way, because I know that Taylor was only on mine, and I had to get you and Sara on.
Unfortunately, I had to work today.
You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
And really quick, plug all your stuff. Let everybody know where to find you.
Yeah, so if you guys want, I'm not going to lie to you guys, my personal Instagram is really boring. But if you want to follow me there, it is JIHAE _JHO _Wiley, WILEY. My podcast is on everywhere you get your podcasts. We are not on YouTube yet. I'm working on it. I'm not on Patreon yet. I'm working on it. I'm figuring it all out because as you guys know, I do everything except for edit my podcast. That was like the one thing I'm spending money on. Everything else I don't spend money on. Oh, it's great. I'm not going to lie to you. I hate editing. I dated an editor. Never. I could never do it. But everything else I do myself. So as you guys know, like posting stuff and like posting everything on social media, it's a lot. So, and I didn't grow up with social media really. I grew up with MySpace. So for me, I'm like Instagram and like all that stuff is not. Yeah.
R.I.P. MySpace. We might not look like we're that old, but we were in the MySpace era.
Tail end.
Were you guys? Did you guys like? Who are your top? What was it like? Your top friends or whatever?
Yep, we had like our top 8 or something like that. Our music said a lot about like our MySpace profile.
I had a lot of Evanescence on mine back in the day.
Oh, yeah. I love that band. I loved Evanescence. So so if you want to follow me there, that's fine. I'm everywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple. Going back, my social media is the_real_bitch_of_bravo. Sorry for the underscores. Instagram wouldn't give me the real bitch of Bravo, so I couldn't do a whole. I know somebody has it. How weird is that? But hopefully somebody drops it and then I'll pick it up. And then everywhere you get your podcast. So
thank you so much. You guys.
Love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.